just early game, and then you need to respect champions that create picks. Thresh being one of them. Twitch is another one from Reckless. Things like Talia and Syndra from Caps. Like, there's a lot of picks you're kind of scared of when you play against these guys, and we get the Thresh as we talked about, and we get now the Elise against Broxah as well.
We'll see if they decide to make it a trifecta, banning out another early game champion, the form of Lee Sin, but Galio's the ban that Fnatic have chosen as it's back over to G2 eSports.
Yeah, you could actually just go for Lee Sin here and just completely remove early game junglers from Broxah, or at least the standard early game junglers, and then maybe he plays like an Ivern, and it becomes a slower game, which is only in favor of G2, because that's the thing about these two teams. Standard drafts with no surprises and pure meta picks favors G2. Some of the unique things, some of the different kind of play styles, well, that's in favor of Fnatic.
Don't want to have to give them too many tools to let them succeed in the early game. G2 know their opponents well, but they ban out the Xayah as their final in Phase 1. Taking that off the board, Reckless won't have a chance to try his hand at it, and it's a Rumble follow-up ban by Fnatic.
So we have Lee Sin open, we have Shen, Kennen, different picks that we know Fnatic likes to play. Kennen especially is a pick that we know can go both AD carry and top lane, but when Zac is open, you lock in Zac.
Yep, playing around for just a few seconds. Wouldn't be surprised to see it happen. Trick is going to get his hands on the big green blob.
And it might be really surprising now for people, like, why would Fnatic leave Zac open? But the reason is, you know, it's going to get first picked, so you can get two strong picks in return. Kennen is the one we just talked about. It's a flex pick for Fnatic. It's such a comfort pick for them as well, and they guarantee that by giving away to Zac. So they are gambling a little bit here, but they realize they have to give something up to get the Kennen.
Well, let's see if they made the right decision as they pick up the Kennen for Reckless. Kennen's been a champion that's been banned quite a lot here in Europe to start things off. On the other side, G2,
almost all the time.
Are they going to match it here? Are they going to go all out on the range? Will a Kog'Maw come in for Sven? It worked okay last week.
Yeah, AD carry would make a lot of sense. If this is the lock-in for Sven, it could also be because it is good against Twitch very specifically, but G2 opt into the flex pick Lucian. Often a good choice if you want to early pick your AD carry, simply because you can always put him mid if you see something like an Orianna on the other side.
G2 eSports still some time on the clock, deciding if they want to pick themselves up a mid laner. Going to be a lot of early power on the side of Fnatic to contend with. Some damage, of course, they're going to have it late game as well. Last few seconds tick away, and it is the Jace locked in.
A lot of flexing here from G2, and this meta is very much about this different flex picks, so you kind of avoid bad matchups. Jace, obviously, safe mid laner, good top laner as well in the current meta, and we already talked about the Lucian. Now, Fnatic, on their side, can either take a mid laner here and ban away two mid laners from G2 and try and force the Jace to be mid, or do the same for top lane. Like, they have the two solo lanes where they can do it, try and really squeeze one lane.
Well, Fnatic have, as the timer expires, locked in the Shen for Soaz. They got the Submarine. I mean, this is starting to be in their wheelhouse for sure.
I mean, it's just such a Fnatic draft already. Like, this is your pure comfort for them. Skirmish jungler. You have the Kennen AD carry, and you have Shen top for Soaz. Like, it is such a standard Fnatic draft right now.
But they've been allowed to do it. They had to give up some things. The Zac coming in could put them in a sticky situation, but as the second ban phase starts up, Fnatic, they might know something we don't. The Blitzcrank is banned away.
I actually think Blitzcrank is pretty good right now. He's finally become meta.
Yeah, saw him in Korea earlier this morning.
We've seen him a few times actually now in LCK to pretty decent success, simply because the Doran Shield bot lane meta with the sustain. Well, how do you counter sustain?
Yeah.
You pack some all in. Blitzcrank can offer that.
Well, you saw what the counter pick to that was the Nunu support.
The Nunu
I don't know if G2 are going to do that. But, you know, maybe they don't have to with Blitzcrank banned away. It's Cassiopeia ban following up next, so back in Fnatic's.
Showing us that Jace mid and Lucian mid are actually both still options for G2. Now, we know Fnatic are looking at Zac and saying, okay, it's an annoying champ to deal with, but Zac is a strong team fighter. Fnatic's comp is already built to not team fight. It's built to play on 3 lanes, fast-paced, run around the map, 4 skirmishes left and right, and have this super crazy game where it's not just a 5-on-5 team fight around Baron that everyone is waiting for. And remove more supports from Mithy. Karma, Lulu still available. Zyra is a strong pick still in this patch.
You can see G2 had focused on the mid lane,
removing
we
get the Zyra.
The Talia as well as the Cassiopeia away from Caps. And Fnatic, lock in that Zyra.
I really like this Zyra pick here. I think actually there are very few champions left in the support pool that can really counter her. Obviously Blitzcrank could be one of them. You can go Braum if you're Mithy and just kind of sack the lane a little bit and play for level 6, but it's not very fun to lane against Zyra with a melee support. And looks like we're gonna get the Lucian mid lane or top lane. I actually need to add that as well, seeing as we've seen Lucian top lately.
Oh, yeah, there's still a lot of questions to be answered, but it looks like Sven's gonna be bringing the heavy artillery and pair that with a Lulu. We have all the makings of a very big Void puppy.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane team fighting comp from G2 once we go to the late game. We still need to see if it's gonna be Jace top or Lucian top for them, depending on what we get in the mid lane from Caps right now. It's the only pick we're waiting for. Whenever I see Caps, by the way, against G2, I just want Aurelion Soul. I think he was so good at playing it last time in playoffs, but Orianna comes in. Should just be Lucian mid and Jace going top then.
Yeah, we're still going to see Fnatic having the ability to really pick people off quickly. I mean, we've got the Shen Submarine with Broxah. We've got a ball delivery system between the two of them, so they can definitely go toe-to-toe with G2 eSports. Question is, can they get in that back line and delete the Kog'Maw while still having to wait through all the damage that the Lucian and the Jace bring?
Yeah, or can they find, you know, Sven and Mithy without the Zac around, without the team of G2 nearby, and it becomes a 1v1, a 2v2, and not a straight-up 5-on-5 against right now multiple 80 carries on the side of G2, massive front line in Zac, like it's a strong team fighting come from G2. And then typically from Fnatic, when they have all this crazy split push, they draft an Orianna. So Caps is like gonna sit in mid lane and wave clear all game long.
You sound very disappointed. No Aurelion Soul this time.
I mean, I always want to see Aurelion Soul from Caps, but he gets some safe wave clear, which is also needed for a team.
Yeah, we might have a few more games to see if that happens, but yes, he's on a safe choice right now. Fnatic getting themselves what they're comfortable on. I want to call it cookie cutter, but with Fnatic, they never fit into anybody else's mold. They just do their own, but they are up against the full strength and might of G2 eSports, back again, fresh off their second place finish at MSI. And this is always going to be legendary. New kings of Europe, old kings of Europe. It doesn't matter. When these two step on the battlefield, Deficio, the crowns are coming off. We're gonna see some blood, and the crowd is ready. So let's see, as they all get ready to duke it out, who will be Grade A in Group A?
Always a little nervous before these kind of games, Pyro, because we really want these teams to deliver. We want to see such an epic series between the two organizations that's won the most in EU LCS. And the fans want to see it, the casters, even the players from other teams. You just want to see some of these absolute top teams perform against each other. There you go, guys.
Yeah.
EU LCS champion since LCS started in 2013. Only Alliance in there kind of ruining it. And a little small mistake I got to add, 2015 is actually Fnatic. Supposed to be some Fnatic logos.
We're doing a little bit of revisionist right now.
We're trying to see if people at home are awake, but 2015, that's of course all Fnatic.
Yeah, that was the good
Huni
old Huni
Rainover.
Rainover days. But ever since G2 entered the EU LCS, after years of Challenger as gamers too, they really tore apart the pillars of what we thought the EU LCS was. It used to be everybody beats everybody and Fnatic wins. Well, that just ain't true anymore.
No, that's very true. We had the Alliance, 2014, you know, dethroning Fnatic. We thought it was new times, and then Huni
but then they got
Rainover.
kaboomed.
Then they got kaboomed. We never talk about 2014 Worlds. It never happened. No one from Europe went to 2014 Worlds. But when Huni Rainover came in and Fnatic kind of took back the throne, all of 2015 were such a dominant team.
That was a great year for me to fish at 2014 because I was an NA fan back then.
Really, 2014. Yeah. Again, I don't remember the World Championship.
Okay, well, you know, I won't let you revisit too many painful memories. Let's zoom back into the present right now, seeing how this game unfolds. You talked about Caps playing it out nice and safe in the early game up against the Lucian mid of Perks.
That is going to be the battle plan here, or the game plan for Caps. Now, bot lane, you already saw Jessis very far up in the lane, getting those different plans down, and I really like the Zyra pick from him, because again, once Thresh is banned away, it's really hard, and even the Blitzcrank in this case, it's really hard to kind of counterpick Zyra in bot lane right now. Mithy's Lulu here lost a bit of early game presence in 7-10, and this should be a good lane for Jessis now to try and at least make sure that Fnatic will have some pressure.
At Fnatic, you know, in their opening week, they kind of demonstrate a lot of solid individual play from some of their primary carries, but also from Jessis. We talked about Che being the guy with the God Hook. He definitely wasn't missing too many when it was in Jez's hands as well. So we'll see if he's able to do just that on Zyra.
Yeah, I think Jessis actually, from when he joined Fnatic, has just steadily gotten better and better. Looked good in playoffs as well, last split, and then obviously, as you highlighted, good week one. Now, obviously, mid lane, Perks will have quite some pressure on the Lucian, and top lane expect on Jace will also be able to control that lane. So it's bot lane where Fnatic are looking to push in, and then it's mid and top in favor of G2, and that makes it a little bit easier for Trick to farm early on the Zac. He's actually not needed in any of these lanes, can just get to level 6 if he wants to.
But if that's the case, and he's just going to be power farming up for a little while, what does Broxah need to do right now? We know Fnatic can thrive in the early game when they build themselves up a lead. Well, with this Kha'Zix, where does he look to go? Well,
simply because G2, again, will control mid and top, then it actually limits where Broxah can go. Because if Broxah starts invading on Kha'Zix to try and find this Zac in here, Zac's passive means that obviously he doesn't just die instantly. And Broxah will just get collapsed on by Lucian, by Jace. So Broxah actually needs to be very careful. As you can see here, he respects as well that he can't really challenge Trick right now. So Broxah will have to play a fairly slow early game, not the one we see on Elise, where he's ganking every lane.
Yeah, that's exactly the kind of game G2 wanted to see when they banned away the Elise.
It's almost like, you know, that's why they banned it.
Nah, that can't be it.
Nah.
All right, we'll check back in with the mid lane right now because Perkz and Caps are actually going to be involved in a bit of a duel here. Caps is unafraid, but he should be a little low. Got the shield on, but Perkz burns through it. Double heal in that mid lane.
Top lane as well. Expect trying to get a bit of damage on this tower whenever he can, and then see if he can force Source maybe to use a TP back to lane. Obviously, as we highlighted before, Broxah not really able to do anything early on. Needs to just fully respect the fact that if he does go for a gank, he's most likely spotted beforehand, and then he get counter ganked by this Zac here.
Well, with the jungle out of the picture for the moment, we can focus a little bit more on those primary carries. We talked about Caps versus Perkz in the mid, but it's also Rekkles and Sven. I mean, Rekkles really, once again, made a whole nother name for himself.
Yeah.
He has several, but once again, during the spring split, especially at the end there, but he's up against Sven, even on a weak laner like Kog'Maw. I think this could be extremely explosive.
Definitely true. Like, very few teams in the West have like multiple superstar carries. I think G2 with Perkz' performance at MSI and of course Sven, they have now finally found the two superstar carries. And Fnatic are pretty close with Caps and Rekkles. Rekkles is already established, and Caps trying to become that, you know, next star mid laner in Europe. He's trying to do what Perkz did basically in his career, where he starts off pretty strong, then he gets even better, learns more with more experience, and then he turns into that star player. But he's not quite there yet. He's trying though.
Well, you take a look at what happened all the way back in week 1, right? Rekkles was still a large part of his team, and of course it was the G2 sub squad, and they pretty much played to protect the Sven a couple of games in a row.
Oh, top lane.
We'll check in with that more later as Soaz gets batted away by Expect. No wet noodle fights up here when he got so much damage coming out of the Jace early on.
Oh, and Expect, I think he saw Broxah on the bottom side. That's why he feels confident staying this far up, because he actually sits without any wards on the top side. It could have been a risky play, but obviously when you're already seen the jungler, you know you can go for it. Back to Rekkles though, as you highlighted last week. Great performance again. The Tristana came in some of the games. We saw the Twitch in some of the other games. Now he gets his cannon. The man who introduced AD carry cannon, and the only player in Europe allowed to play AD carry cannon.
And allowed to build a frozen mallet in that role.
And allowed to build a frozen mallet. That's the thing.
We'll see that one later.
Once you win enough games with frozen mallet and AD carry cannon, then we will grant you permission to play and build that way.
Yeah, and it's just a part of Fnatic's identity as a team. They made this conscious decision towards the mid-half of the spring split. Doesn't matter, we're not going to try to play like SKT. They've said it a million times already. We're going to play our own way. We're going to punish opponents. We don't need to play that perfect game. And Animal Style was born.
And now, important moment in the game, Pyra. Expect uses TP. Soaz, ulti ready on the Shin. This is now where the bot lane from G2 needs to constantly respect the fact that Soaz can join a fight. Jessis, if he lands the root, you can set up a play. If Broxah moves down to the bottom lane, you can set up a potential tower dive. But of course, if Trick is around, he can try and defend for G2. But this again gives even more pressure to Fnatic's bottom lane. And you see this early attack speed boots from Rekkles. That's what he likes to build early, for just more push in lane. Over and over, get some damage on towers, because Fnatic's playstyle is built around getting down early towers. Get down early towers, open up the map, and then play on these multiple lanes where you're constantly ganking people, even late game. You're ganking a side lane as an AD carry, and that is truly the Fnatic playstyle.
Yes, indeed, but we'll have to wait a little bit to see it right now. Looks like we are in for a quick pause as referees are speaking to Sven on stage at the moment. They take themselves that pause. But Fnatic do have this advantage on the bot side, as predicted, as expected, the way things are unfolding.
Apparently Sven broke his keyboard.
Ah, well, I guess he was mashing...
I don't know.
Dog slobber on
Do you do that when you lane as level 580 carry? Do you really smack your keyboard in?
Well, we've got plenty of them in the back, so I'm sure it'll be okay that they can bring it. Oh, man, that doesn't look good.
Oh, that hurts. He killed it.
It's an aggressive player. I didn't know that aggressive, though.
I don't know. How many people need to fiddle with that keyboard now?
I don't know. Sometimes it's settings. Sometimes, the mastery's reset, and, that's on us. That's the spaghetti code. Yeah. But every now and again, sometimes you just treat your peripherals a little bit too rough.
I think you're right, though. I think we have some spare keyboards in the back if needed.
It's a good thing we came
prepared.
prepared.
Mithy joins in. They're 3-man on it now.
Oh, man, they're a real team.
Oh, look at that.
All right. That's what the underside of it looks
so
like.
this shift button is being annoying for him.
Oh, just looking to pull it out. Come on. Almost.
There you go, guys.
There we go. All right, so this is
professional
how you repair
video games.
a
This is how people prepare the keyboards and get ready to play.
Oh man, I learned he's a man of many talents.
Yeah, at this point,
I'm gonna bring a new one anyway, so that was.
I like the Scott Parking move here, being like, guys, can you stop fiddling with that keyboard? Here's a new one.
Yeah. Well, he's definitely on top of it. But the rest of G2 are not too phased by the way this game is starting. We talked about how important for them the draft to shut down the Fnatic early game aggression was. We saw how Brox has kind of not been able to get involved, but there is always the SOAS potential, the dive down bottom.
Oh, yes.
I want to see when it actually does happen. There's still plenty of time before the cooldowns and the teleport come out, but Expect has been giving SOAS hell up in that top lane.
I mean, that's why he had that early Jace pick, why he moved it to the top lane and put the Lucian mid, obviously against the Orianna. So it's been an early game going precisely as G2 planned. Just standard lanes, no crazy shenanigans, no cheese happening. Push in the solo laners, so again, Broxah can't gank early on.
Right.
And now it's basically just on Fnatic's bottom lane to try and make the plays with SOAS. And that's kind of the one lane we're looking at, because we're not looking at Broxah to force a play in either top or mid lane at the moment.
Well, it looks like we're going to be getting it back into game in just a moment with the keyboards all fresh and repaired. We'll see if Fnatic are really able to try and bust this one open on the bottom, because that seems to be their big win condition, playing hyper-aggressive and putting G2 so far on the back foot that they can't come back.
And I said before there, if you are Fnatic and you're looking for that bot lane play, sometimes it gets too obvious, and you actually say, no, never mind, let's do something completely different. What if we go mid and Shen ulti on the Kha'Zix and dive onto the Lucian, and suddenly you surprise him?
Could always happen. Perks on this Lucian. He's got a heal, but he's also got a flash and a dash. We'll see if he's able to get out of harm's way if that comes down to. But past level 7 now, ultimates come into play. Expect. He's taking some damage back from SOAS. Good trading champion Shen always has been, and well, Doran's shield buffs didn't just help AD carries.
That is true. Definitely good for Sven here on a scaling AD carry. The man who's made it clear he would not play Doran's shield.
That tune changed pretty quick.
That changed very quickly when he realized how good it is. Expect under pressure.
A little bit low, he turns back, goes to the skies. Teleports are back up and available though. Didn't have cooldowns going through the pause, but still came back up all the same. Keeping an eye on the junglers once again. Broxah trying to invade a little bit. He has more farm than Trick, but that's not saying too much.
No, but it's a good play, because that ward is always very important, because that's actually the path you can take from mid lane to dive the bottom lane. And if you know you've already killed the ward and the enemy won't spot you early on, you can actually often make it down towards the bottom lane and force this play or force the tower before they really react in time. So it is an important location to fight around. Love this mid lane fight. Perks using ulti as well, but Caps is feeling pretty safe.
Yep. Still in comes Expect. He's still able to two-step out of the damage and Caps at half his health. He's pretty happy right now. A little bit down in the CS department, but he's up against an AD carry kind of firing away. Can't always fire those shots quite as fast.
And as we highlighted before here, the plan for G2 is still to just make sure the bot lane tower stays alive for as long as possible, so Sven can just secure farm and levels, and Fnatic does not get to open up the map. Shen is not going to get damage on top tower. Orianna, while she has some push in the mid lane now, it takes a lot of time for her to actually kill the mid tower, and G2 wants to slow a game. They do not want early towers gone, so the map is open, and the split pushing, the crazy ganks, the Shen ultis out of nowhere will start from Fnatic.
Ooh, that was a hair's breadth away from Caps getting the steal off. One way to get inside the head, at least, of your opponents. But one thing we haven't talked about too much is the Infernal Dragon. And Broxah may be unable to get into lanes, but what he can do is sneakily start the Drake.
This is a good play from him, simply due to the push on the bottom side. Sven went back to base. Jess has also opted into maxing Q, at least with 3 ranks in Q on Zyra early on. A lot of Zyra players will go just pure max E, the root. But he's aiming for early laning power, push, and damage from the Q. And they're using that to get that advantage on bottom side. Expect is trying his hardest to take Soaz down, but Shen is fantastic at just building Ninja Tappy, get hit in the face a few times, and then just wait for the moment to ulti.
Yeah. Kind of a fun little archetype with Shen because he's not actually a ninja. He looks like one, but he really is just a massive tank.
Truly is.
That's the serious, what's the right word I'm looking for? The
misconception?
Yeah, not misconception. He's throwing him off. Misdirection, just like
misdirection.
There we go. Sometimes I word some. Looks like Caps is going to get Shockwave, but Perks doesn't take too much damage out of it as he spent his culling.
Got interrupted by Caps' ulti right there. And as we highlighted earlier as well, like if you're a Trick, you ganking lanes early is also pretty difficult with the setups because there's no CC in top, there's no CC in mid, so your job is basically just to farm and get as strong as possible for when the fights will start happening. But when you play against Fnatic, always look for lane swaps as well. If the bot lane from Fnatic gets to push out one more time, they might swap to top lane to once again try and get that first tower down. And Perks is going aggressive.
Oh yeah, one lane you don't have to worry about swapping in and out is going to be that mid, and Perks, he is trying to pressure up on Caps. And this is a guy that had a hell of a performance at MSI, and up against the likes of Faker and more, that's something to be said.
A man who had something to prove after MSI 2016, Worlds 2016 as well. People called him overrated, said he was too cocky and he couldn't perform on the international stage. And then suddenly, he showed up big time. Started in Spring Split in Europe, so for all the European fans who watched him at home, they weren't surprised when they saw him at MSI. They knew, okay, this guy is now really damn good.
Well, he was a big part in defeating the memes, that's for sure. G2 definitely looking a little brighter. Some seriously impressive performances from them on the international stage. And honestly, just great to see their development and consistency over time now. They have dominated Europe for a long time, but even when they're challenged now, starting to see them continually step up.
And now we want to see the same from Fnatic. We want to see Fnatic really come up there and challenge G2 even more. Fight for that first place. Caps and Broxa looking for a potential bot lane play. We've talked about the bot lane so often, because that is where you want to play if you are Fnatic with the Shen on top side. But it is hard because it's very predictable. There's defensive vision from G2. They're kind of calling every single time, hey, bot lane, watch out, Caps is moving.
And, you know, we've heard from G2's recent video on Restore and Pride how Expect is often capable of kind of these big calls. Sometimes it's in fights and ending the game, but, you know, you got to think that extends a little bit to being able to make calls around the map.
Still fighting for that little brush right there where Trick plays his control ward.
It's a war of attrition. That's how everything starts.
It really is. Like, when games are like slow like this, it's all about vision. Vision ward, because once you get the advantage through the wards, that's when you can make a play the enemy team can't react against or react against properly in time. Bot lane control ward and a play happening.
Reckless going on in, bringing Shen to the party. They get the taunt. They get first blood. Reckless picking up Mythy.
There we go, Pyre. We talked about this play like 5 times, I think, the last 5 minutes, and we knew it was going to happen at some point. And then we see now Reckless using the movement speed from Cannon with the Shen ulti just to make sure the Mythic can't get away. But TP bot lane.
Jess he's locked up in between the rest of the team, but finally he gets some relief because Caps is coming in now. Expect isolated from everybody else. It's Soaz claiming the kill as Trick is forced to flash away. Fnatic's time to shine once again. Trick goes bouncing, but he leaves Perks behind, and he's gonna go down as well. Little blobs everywhere. Fnatic getting kills. Fnatic getting towers.
Oh my God, that is got so good for Fnatic instantly. They were just supposed to get 1 kill and then the tower, but G2 tried to react by TPing bot lane and everything backfired. Probably surprised that Perks early on had to try and disengage from the fight, and then suddenly Expect was left alone. Trick never really got into the fight.
Yeah, we're gonna take a look at it one more time. It all started with Reckless and the Shen, but Broxa was not far behind.
Yeah, so the movement speed from Reckless and his flashes means it's impossible to get away once you are not hogging your tower on the side of G2, and that sets up the first play. And now G2 trying to just get something back, even though they're only 4 members. So look at this. Trick will go in, but he doesn't make it into the 3-man group of Fnatic, which means he never really gets to do a whole lot in the fight, and Expect is left on his own. Sven is too far back to really help, and Perkz already had to try and jump away from Jess's ulti. And just means that it's multiple members from G2 split up. Desperation, trying to get something back after losing Methi.
Yeah, sometimes you think about a Kog'Maw being the champion you want to protect in a lot of those fights, but you got to be careful when you got a lot of other squishy members. Methi got popped so fast with the layering of CC, he couldn't even get a wild growth off. And that's a key tool to trying to take a fight like that. Fnatic just better at these skirmishes.
And look, Pyra, if anyone will get the kills on Fnatic, it's Reckless.
And he'll use them to buy a Bork.
And now he sits on a fully completed Blade of the Ruined King, triple daggers going towards his second item. He can start split pushing because he's already killed one tower bot lane. He's now going to go top lane and try and kill another tower. Once that tower is gone, he's going to push to tier 2 towers, and no one from G2 can safely 1v1 the cannon. Because whenever you sit in the cannon lane, Shen ultis in on the cannon, and it's 1v2 and you die. It happens every time when Fnatic plays Kennen and Shen.
But Fnatic, rather than splitting on their own, it's Reckless being joined by Broxah and Jez.
Oh, it's still so early, yeah.
I mean, it's early in the game, but G2, you know, they're just placing vision around Baron Pit. There's not a whole lot going on for them.
Well, it's hard now to do anything because now you're going to lose the 2v2 side lane. You're going to lose the 1v1 side lane as well, where Reckless is. So your playbook suddenly got limited to just running as a group. Running as a group if you're behind is very hard because you're never really in a position to force a fight first. Oftentimes you have to react to the split push, or Reckless takes a tower. And then you might be grouping mid, but then your top lane tier 2 tower dies, and that's not great either. So it's really, really hard. Now G2 might have a chance to fight here, around the Rift Herald.
Trying to contest it here. Brox is the only one still in the pit. Expects teleport is not quite back up off cooldown. In the end, G2 run out of steam, and Brox is going to pick up the Rift Herald. Tower goes down in bottom, but Soaz is taking it to Expect.
This might open up the mid lane as well now with the Rift Herald in there. Bit of damage was put onto that tower earlier by Caps. It is about 90% HP. So Broxah and the team can actually just push the side lane first, then move everyone to the mid lane, place the Rift Herald, and try and take that last outer turret. And then it's a wide open map for the comp with multiple ninjas, high mobility, and for the team who loves to play the fast tempo, the high tempo games.
I mean, Fnatic are normally a team that are no strangers to trading a lot of towers because they want to accelerate the gold, but they haven't had to give anything up. One in mid, okay, or one in bot rather. The mid one is pretty close to going down, but G2 just haven't even been able to catch up by trading. I mean, we talk about late game fighting, that's going to be their forte, but Fnatic, their win condition, as we said, getting that lead, keeping it going. Right now, they're sitting pretty at about 2,000 ahead, not to mention one Infernal and soon to be Cloud Drake.
So, Fnatic getting everything they need. Getting a Cloud Drake is actually not bad when you play 1-3-1.
Oh yeah, gotta go fast.
Obviously, rather take a Mountain if you can get it on Infernal, but here we see the play, push top side from Reckless, go mid, and then you can now play with Rift Herald. Rift Herald is coming just around the corner right there. This is exactly as we just talked about.
There we go.
Always push the side lane first, then group in mid with 5, because that means G2, they can't defend all lanes at once. They have to give up somewhere. Obviously mid lane wide open and they get the mid tower.
Yep, but Expect though, he's going to find himself flanked. Reckless turns to
the
the 1v1, but it's never a 1v1 when Shen is involved. Soaz is going to get that assist and Reckless goes up 4 kills.
It really feels like we've seen this before. The Shen Kennen combo from Reckless and Soaz.
Who says ninjas don't work well together?
I agree. That combo always works, both the players and the champions.
Well done, yeah, and a lot of experience working together, Soaz and Reckless, and despite his time on other teams, Soaz coming back to the team that made him famous. He's definitely been playing well. 5-0 now, and here's how the 5th kill happened.
Just to expect overstaying his welcome in the bottom lane after losing mid tower. Did not want to fight, but didn't have a choice.
With Fnatic, you usually don't.
Yeah, exactly. Just expect... Look a bit rusty when it comes to map movements right there, and it is to expect it when obviously you've been taking some holiday. G2 under so much pressure. Now I want to remind everyone that when Fnatic played G2 in the semi-final, Fnatic also managed to win game 1 with actually the same kind of game. Super fast-paced, a lot of fights first in the bot lane that then transition into the rest of the map here.
Oh yeah, it's not unexpected.
It's definitely not unexpected. Like Fnatic, they have been able to beat G2 before.
But they haven't always been able to...
They haven't closed the series.
Yeah, finish up a series against. I mean, G2 really, ever since ascending to the EU LCS throne, have given Fnatic a hard time, but there's been a lot of rebuilding for this Fnatic squad. And as Ocelot even tweeted, this is going to be the best chance right now. It's a less practiced G2 on this patch.
Look, is that Source and Reckless?
Wait a minute, hold on. Is this for a minute ago? No, okay, different play. All right. This time, Expect should get away.
There was no Shen ulti this time around.
I mean, you could, but it wouldn't really help much.
It wouldn't have done a whole lot either. Source also didn't want to commit the Taunt Flash, as we highlighted much earlier in Champions League, though. Now 3 lanes getting pushed in, and
mid.
Trick.
He's going to have to flash out of everything. Stranglethorn, Shockwave, but they got a summoner spell out of that. Reckless and Caps bleeding a little bit here as Perks is pushing on the mid. Pings are flying. They see where Expect is. But at least Sven is going to be able to finish off a tower up in the top. That'll be the second for G2 eSports, trying to close that gold gap.
If they can actually defend mid right now, then this is a good play from G2, getting more farm on Sven and the turret. But the problem is, so many guys from Fnatic are near this mid tower. But Zach is around the corner. Yeah,
and Perks was playing with no fear. Should have been a dead giveaway. And now, Kiss! Jez's and Caps pulled right in together, but the blob is going to disappear. Perks picks up Jez's. However, he almost falls himself. The wild growth was there. It ends up being a 1-for-1 kill trade, and the tower still stands in the mid.
Yeah, G2 defend that tower while they got the top one down just before here. So, small win for them. Trick had to use absolutely everything, but I think he's overall happy. We haven't seen the 6 Zac ulti yet, because sadly for him, right there, he died before.
Not as tanky as we could have expected.
He's a jungler who obviously lost the early skirmish. Then it gets pretty hard, and his team has not been getting enough towers for him to really snowball as a tank. It cost a lot to get the Cinder Hulk. While it, of course, is a tanky item, that in itself does not make you super tanky against, well, is that a 2-item Orianna, 2-item Kennen already?
Well, here was that fight again. Perks was playing without fear. And Trick did manage to pull people together.
Yeah, super good combo from him. His ulti sadly gets cancelled due to him dying. Didn't get to pull anyone into tower, and Perks also staying alive due to Mythi's ulti right now. So overall, the 1-for-1 is good for G2, but that mid lane tower is low. And also now we're at the point in the game where Baron is alive.
A lot of damage now out for Fnatic all across the board. It's not just Reckless. And you see the Luden's Echo on Caps right now, paired with the Merlinomicon. He's just going to get bigger and bigger. And so as with the Titanic Hydra can start splitting himself. We talked about 1-3-1 skirmishes. It's a Fnatic special, as always.
Yes, it is. And also, Elixir here on Reckless. Really want to keep the tempo up and want to just keep forcing plays. Now he will go to that side lane once again. Push it in. If anyone stops him, Shen ulti comes in. And then suddenly you just kill whoever is in front of you. And that's how you can keep the pressure going in multiple lanes. Wave clear mid from Orianna. We said this in Champs League. Caps' job, sit mid, kill the wave. That's basically it.
Yeah, he's been fine. 4 assists, no deaths. I mean, what more can you ask from him at the beginning? And honestly, how it's been so far, hasn't lost that tower. G2 have been slowly losing out on territory. 23 minutes in, though, Fnatic are around the Baron, but they know better than to start that one up without clearing out all the vision and making sure a couple of members of G2 are dead.
Yeah, that was one of the things we looked at from week 1, where Fnatic did struggle.
Yeah, they learned a few things, I'd imagine.
They hopefully went back and looked at it, because the Baron setups were quite poor in the Misfits series. Once they got the Baron, on the other hand, they just played super clean and actually won the game in like no time. So getting the Baron was the problem. Now they do have 1 control ward in there, but they need more in the river itself to fully deny the G2 vision. Can't wait till they actually kill the Infernal Drake first, because that should be number 1 priority.
15 seconds. Trick will be a little bit tankier now. He's got the adaptive helm built up.
Yeah.
You don't like that one?
No, go Spirit Visage. You heal so much anyway. Like, that's way better for you. Adaptive helm here. Like, yes, it works against Zyra plans.
It shows what he's prioritizing against at least, but...
Basically, like, that's the only thing you really care about here in terms of the damage you remove. So it is not a good buy from Trick. You lose out on HP as well compared to Spirit Visage plus the sustain. Definitely do not agree with that item choice.
Yeah. While it all happens here, Fnatic, they get themselves another Infernal Drake, so that is 16% bonus AD and AP on top of that move speed. G2 were thinking about the Baron. They were making, eyes at it, but they did not pull the trigger, and Expect was back at base.
Yeah, G2 sits with a Rage Blade AD carry, which means if you get to Baron and play the Rune King on obviously 3 members
you can start wrecking it.
Yeah, you can actually kill the Baron very, very fast. So if Fnatic ever kind of falls asleep on the map and all recall, a Baron rush can happen. They're doing it right now.
Well, starting off, the damage is real, but Brox is in the back, and we have seen some Baron steals today, Deficio. Will we see another? Reckless coming around. G2 are the jaws closing on the trap. The Baron's down to 200 health, I should say, and so as Shockwave is gonna pull in Trick, but the fight has gotten messy, and the spike goes down. Broxa secures the Baron, while G2 are distracted, and he's even gonna be able to get out alive. Only Soaz falls. That's 4 members of Fnatic with Baron.
The Baron drops so low that even when G2 tried to disengage, Fnatic could actually finish it. Trick, you lost your passive earlier, my friend.
That's not how that was supposed to work. Trick is down. Nice and easy kill over to Fnatic. His 5th kill for Reckless.
But we just saw that Baron rush that is possible. You know, Blade of the Ruin Kings, Rage Blade actually went down so quickly. Very important for Fnatic that Brox checked it so fast because Jesus was still running from base. I think the only man with wards left on him would have been Broxa that was actually close to the Baron. And then sadly, I say sadly, but good enough for G2 because they got the Baron so low so fast. Them disengaging actually still allowed Fnatic to stay in the Baron pit and go for that smite steal. If you see it again here, so Baron gets rushed down so quickly that by the time G2 steps away to take the fight, it's on 2k. Like, you have Kha'Zix, you have Orianna, that's enough to get the Baron low enough that you can actually smite it, which means Broxa then gets a chance to take that smite battle against Trick.
Yeah. Trick tried to pull Broxa back on in with the bounce, but he wasn't having any of that. He was able to leap and flash away. And I misspoke earlier. It was Jesus who actually got the finisher as Trick came back in for round 2. So a little extra golden flux for him. But G2 has mistakes. This could be a result of them just not having practiced enough together. Execution can sometimes go awry when you haven't been working together quite as long. A few days of scrims. We'll see if they can turn it around here, but Trick is gonna get caught. Hold on in. Wild grows down, but it's gonna be Perks. That gets melted first, and Soaz looking to turn in for Trick as he hops away. Expecting Mithy trying to limp back. Broxa on the front. Sven has to flash back into base. Not looking good for G2 eSports as Caps takes down the Lulu. I bet that tasted purple.
Well, now they get a tower as well, Pyra in the bottom lane. They still got the Baron buff minions. This is looking really good for Fnatic.
Close out game number 1. We'll have to see if G2 can find an answer in number 2, but it's still going right now. However, G2 are losing base rapidly. 27 minutes. This is the kind of game that Fnatic love to play.
Yeah, we said before, once Fnatic picks up Baron, they actually know exactly what to do with it. Very good at really pushing that advantage. Instantly look for the bot lane play, and they're ready to take this fight here. As you can see, as soon as Broxa jumps out, everyone from Fnatic just collapses. Reckless coming from the bottom side with the cannon here, knows exactly when to jump in and land the CC. And Sven, the hyper carry you want to protect, is obviously not with the team because he was busy in mid first and then joins later for the fight.
Zoned out by Soaz teleporting in, didn't want to get locked up, so Fnatic, you saw the rest of it all. To take a look at the damage, that Orianna burst was definitely coming up pretty big, but that was just the start of it. And Fnatic are still rocking a huge goal lead. Great job, Soaz, as well,
that 13 damage.
Yep.
Really feeling useful in that fight.
Hey man, sometimes you just gotta look at people with a serious face and they'll go running for the hills, especially the way this game is shaking out. Youngbug knows pressure's on right now. Still only game number 1, but Fnatic are looking poised to go off to a flying start here.
And a lot of people probably go back and look at the Baron setup from G2 and say, oh, why did you do that? Why did you risk it? But I think when you were that far down already and you were losing every single lane, if you get a chance to even get a 50-50 smite, I think you take it. Well, you can then argue, should they have disengaged or should they just try to finish it? But obviously it's hard when you see Kennen on the side as well. In the end, though, Fnatic got that Baron, and now they're using the Baron so well.
Yep, got one in him already, Trick, but they're going to have to fight it out through Trick. That is a big one, pulling them all together, but Caps goes on a spree and takes down Sven. Big shutdown for Expect, though, and Fnatic, they're running scared. As Sven comes right back on up, as should say. No, he's down. Never mind. I'm completely wrong. It's Soaz who's taken out by Perks. Now they're trying to run for their lives as Broxa limping away. Jez's will not be so lucky. Perks with a double kill. Getting some gold back in his pocket, and G2 are showing life.
Classic caster curse. Just saying how well Fnatic played with the Baron buff, and then instantly they lose the fight. G2 big up 3 kills, and now they will get mid tower as well. Like, the gold is heavily in favor of Fnatic. They have double Infernal Drake as well to add even more scaling on the table here, but
it's chaotic,
G2,
man.
They take what they can get at this point.
Well, what they can get is at least a few kills, and here was the commitments from Fnatic, and in comes Trick. This time he lands a big knockup.
Yeah, that control ward on the side actually gave Fnatic some sense of security. They didn't realize Trick would be standing in that brush. and then he would engage from the flank, and really surprised Fnatic started the fight. And we know with all these 80 carries on the side of G2 that if they are left untouched, they actually have enough damage to kill a lot of squishy members on the side of Fnatic, because it is only Source who's a tank.
Yeah, and Perkz was really able to start dishing the damage after Sven had died early. Obviously not the only carry on there. It even juked me. I thought for some reason he had a Guardian Angel. But not the case, as G2 Esports are still able to turn it around. However, there is another Infernal Dragon. Fnatic are in prime position. Number 3, this would be a serious chunk of bonus damage for them, and G2 aren't even going to try and stop it.
Yeah, and there's so many champions on Fnatic really benefiting from Infernal Drake. AD stacking jungler, AP on your support as well. So multiple members from Fnatic love to see this kind of buff right here. Sometimes getting 3 Infernal Drakes feels pretty damn good. I actually can't think of a single time where it feels pretty bad.
I guess if you lose after you get them.
Oh, that's really
the Infernal Drakes don't feel bad.
No,
Yeah.
That is great.
Well, for Fnatic right now, feels pretty good, man. As they find themselves still with a sizable gold lead, 31 minutes into this game. Another minute on the Baron, and they just keep on stacking the damage.
Yep.
Reckless way out in front with those kills, and of course, the Frozen Mallet.
That's obviously why this gold lead here is even bigger than it actually shows on the screen due to the scaling from the Drakes. You have right now Caps sitting on 3 fully completed items, and the Drakes actually puts him at 550 AP at 30 minutes into the game. That means if Mithy pokes his head in, well, he gets one shot.
As we saw a couple of times already. But for G2, we talked about them having late game fighting potential, and they've got a Kog'Maw on their side. But what do they need to do to start taking it to Fnatic? They're so far down. You got to think they really have to have the perfect angle on an engage.
Yeah, exactly. Like, often at this point when you are behind like this, you rely actually more on the enemy team making a mistake in the fight. This is a bot lane play, though, from Fnatic.
Speaking of mistakes, there was a flash followed through, so Reckless couldn't get back into Expect, and Soaz was there to tag in. Expect will escape with his life for now. Heading back to base. Fnatic, though, they're pinging on Baron. It's about to be up, and there it is.
So now, right, we have Fnatic sitting with an 80 carry with no flash. They're rushing Baron, though, but this might be something for G2 to try and fight around. Zac just used his slingshot to get closer to Baron, so it is on cooldown from Trick at the moment.
Here we go. It's coming right back on up. Reckless is in trouble. The Baron's going low, going down. It's smited by Brox to secure it up. Shockwave pulling in. Trick and Sven. Sven, down he goes. A Cathian surprise is not enough to finish off Soaz, and now it's only Mithy and Perkz remaining. Broxa charging down the front. You gotta think this is where it's gonna end, with a Baron, with a fight that just went awry. Perkz turns for the hero play, and he doesn't get it. Caps taking him down. Only Mithy and Expect to defend.
And we just highlighted the 550 AP on Caps' Orianna here, 32 minutes into the game. He managed to get a full combo on Sven with flash and heal available. We need to see in a potential replay if he could have done something, but now Expect dies.
Not much he could do there. Guardian Angel's gonna get him back up on his feet for just a second, but they'll smack him right back down. That's gonna be one Nexus Tower. That's gonna be another Nexus Tower, and Fnatic, they like playing fast, they like playing lightning quick, and they will take a lead in this series.
Makes me happy that we got to see a Fnatic draft, a Fnatic game as well. This was dictated by their play style. This wasn't slow and steady, as G2 would have loved it to be. Because we were talking about that bot lane setup with the Shen and the Cannon. It happened, they got the kills, obviously turned into more kills due to the TP plays after. Towers went down, and suddenly, wide open map, and that's where the comp from G2 can just not keep up with how fast a Cannon and Shen can play in the side lanes.
Yeah, it really was incredible to see how quickly Fnatic were not only making the decisions, executing on them. And G2, you know, they were stumbling at times. They tried to fight it on back, but you can't rely on a late game Kog'Maw when the game ends at 33.
And you also know now that everyone is going to be spamming, don't give Reckless Cannon. It starts every time.
I mean, Cannon's been banned so consistently in EU. It was actually kind of surprising to see it make it through. But, you know, Reckless, he goes deathless in that game. Again. The guy's stepping up huge. We thought he was doing monster performances in spring, but he continues.
Definitely a good performance from Reckless and the rest of Fnatic.
100%. They played solid as a team. Now Fnatic, they are on a mission to get their revenge over G2 Esports. Let's leave it to the analysts to break down their win.
Thank you very much. And yes, what a fantastic game from Fnatic. Get rickety Reckless once again. 4 out of 5 Fnatic games this split Reckless has not died. Henning, at the beginning of the series, you talked about how Fnatic draft around him. They play the Shen top, they play the Ivan. Another thematic comp that we're not really surprised by.
Yeah, this is the Fnatic style, the bread and butter. These picks, like the Shen in this game, allows Reckless to play so aggressively. Several times he flashed up into the face of a Jace as an AD carry. How often do you see that?
And other things that I was impressed around the draft, like as you were saying, is so much of it was built around the bottom lane, right? We're seeing once again the Orianna, the Shen, very classic Fnatic composition. This is what gave birth to the Fnatic style and just continues to work for them, right?
Yeah, it worked out really well this game. Reckless taking the team on his shoulders and doing a great job. Gotta mention Jessus as well with a winning matchup there down bottom, been able to force the plays.
Yeah.
And one of the big things about it, right, is that we talked about how they as a team are looking to play around the bottom lane, and that ties very nicely into our very first replay, which is very much about, oh look, Fnatic are looking to play around the bottom lane with a level 6 Shen. It's almost like the most standard thing ever. So look at this, right? The great thing about Jace is that he can keep Soaz pushed underneath the tower a lot, but he gets this opportunity to back. Immediately, Fnatic are like, let's go look to make a play bottom. Reckless with the initiation tool, flash, ulti, makes it so easy for Fnatic to make this play happen. And it's so textbook, I am surprised G2 did not respond.
Yeah, they fall into the trap there of perhaps underestimating Fnatic's ability to go for this sort of a play. And as we look at Fnatic's comp, they have to force the fight early, and this is exactly what they're doing. Here the TP flank comes in for Expecto, really low on mana, and this fight just goes sour for them as Expecto goes into the backline and gets bursted down.
So if I remember correctly, it was first blood, it was tower first blood as well. It allowed Fnatic to pick up a 2,000 to 3,000 gold lead. And Vedius, I want to really hit on what you just mentioned. G2 fell prey to arguably the most obvious play in the game. Zyra, Kennen bottom lane with ultimates, Shen top lane. Hell, I'm in gold and I know what that means.
Yeah, it's so common for teams like G2 to be like, Shen is top, we should rotate. Especially, okay, so if you have Jace pushing top, right? You have a losing lane bottom, you send your bottom lane up to the top side with the Zac, who can even dive the Shen, and then you basically say, we're going to take this tower, we're not going to get killed in the bottom lane, we're going to stop fighting this 2v2, and then they die.
Yeah, that's pretty much what G2 has to do. They just have to avoid dying early on because they do outscale. Fnatic does not have the opportunity to siege a lot with this comp. A short-range AD carry can't do a lot. So as long as G2 doesn't die early...
But Henning, they didn't. They did die early. And that allowed Fnatic to go ahead. Let's talk about the rest of the macro, because we were saying how Fnatic's aggressive style could cause them problems, how G2 may be able to answer. G2 have also been slow out the gates in first games of series, so let's not, overreact here. But what do you think of the rest of the game in terms of Fnatic's macro, map play, and the decision-making?
Fnatic were in kind of a tough position as their comp is not easy to play. They have to force the fights, and Reckless did a good job of it, but I also have to say that G2 could have done a better job. They did have good wave clear, just hugging their towers. They could have been playing more careful.
I was very impressed with the way in which Fnatic utilized the lead that they had. They weren't just sitting around not doing anything. They were going from lane to lane, and they were putting a lot of pressure onto G2, as we were discussing. And then when it came to that Baron play, you're like, okay, can Fnatic play around Baron? How well can they respond? Well, it's super easy when G2 set up the Baron for you.
Yeah, and this is a weird position because G2 are behind in gold. They're not in a position where they really want to fight, but they still go for the objective. And you can see the Smite fight being won out by Broxah with a bit of help from Caps. Overall, even though Soaz goes down, it's a great win for Fnatic here.
Vedius, it feels like every replay we come out and I have a follow-up question for you, because can G2 or Fnatic set up Baron? Can Europe set up Baron? we're on our fourth day of games, and EU squads just seem to have forgotten the 9-step rules: push lanes, get deep vision, play safe. What's going on?
I mean, very early on in the day, we saw Misfits with a good setup, and that should be an example of what teams should be looking to do. When you have two of our top teams in Europe skirmishing around a Baron because G2 are falling behind, that is not the level of play that I want to be seeing from these two teams. Like, G2, I understand that they need to go for that Baron play. But if it's to either force a fight, or if it's to bait Fnatic into a poor situation, or just to commit to it, they need to make that decision. But instead, they were like, let's hit the Baron, let's get it low, then let's leave, and then let's give Fnatic the Baron. Because I think that is the best strategy we can go for here.
Well, as it stands, Henning is 1-0 up in the prediction game. Thank you very much for your analysis, guys. Fnatic and G2 are in that important fight for the top of the spot in group number A. We'll see if G2 can strike back when we return.
I had to remind them of the predictions, didn't you?
You're losing now, and you're losing fantasy.
And the crowd as they all get ready to duke it out. Who will be grade A in Group A? Fnatic's time to shine once again. Trick goes bouncing, but he leaves Perks behind, and he's gonna go down as well. Little blobs everywhere. Fnatic getting kills. Fnatic getting towers.
Oh my God!
Health, I should say, and so as Shockwave is gonna pull in Trick, but the fight has gotten messy, and the spike goes down. Roxa secures the Baron, while G2 are distracted.
One in him already, but they're gonna
Fight out through Trick. That is a big one, pulling them all together, but Caps goes on a spree and takes down Sven. Big shutdown for Expect, though, and Fnatic, they're running scared. That's going to be one Nexus tower. That's going to be another Nexus tower, and Fnatic, they like playing fast, they like playing lightning quick, and they will take a lead in this series.